Hello everyone and welcome into today's video where we are checking Algorand again as promised in the last video about Algorand, because today I want to show you some very interesting new information which I've been able to find out about Algorand, and we will also check out some other official news from Algorand and finally check out the price charts for any new developments. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. First of all, just in relation to the last video, we've talked about the expert governance systems for Algorand, and just a couple of days ago they released this new official information about that, because Algorand Foundation is committed to a fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem. So they want to propose this new structure and basically integrate a DAO. They also have this concrete scheme now with the introduction of those expert governance and also the DAO here. So if you want to check this in more detail, there will be a link in the video description. Then we have another quite interesting information that Algorand partners with University of Florida to develop the blockchain lab powered by Algorand. So there will be more education towards blockchain on universities, which is cool. And we have a similar announcement also, but this time from the university in Switzerland. I believe it's the Italian speaking part of Switzerland, where they will launch a course on writing smart contracts. Why is this significant? In my opinion, you have to ask yourself, what is Switzerland best known for or the most significant in? And it's the banking system. As you know, a lot of money is flowing through Switzerland and they have very well established banking system there. So I think launching a course on writing smart contracts is very reasonable, but just remember the banking part for the next few moments and I will explain them in just a bit. Now we are getting into the very interesting information in my opinion, and it's on Reddit, posted by this user, which has been around for 8 years on Reddit, so quite a decent time. It's not just any random bot which has been created a couple of days ago. You know, it seems to be some guy from Singapore, and he has this to say about Algorand. He's saying that something is going on with Algorand and that Algorand Foundation, and we should talk about it. First of all, he says that he is a big believer in Algorand and has about 50% of his net worth in Algorand, and he's been very active in this ecosystem. But he has noticed over the past couple of weeks and months that there has been some cracks in the Algorand team, and he mentions those 4 points. So first of all, they stated, and by the way, we've checked out this as well last year actually, from the plans for 2021 by Silvio Micali, that they want to increase the TPS. However, that did not happen and we have received no status updates on this. Similar, they stated that block finalization time would decrease in 2021 as well. This did not happen and there has been no status update. It was also promised that we would receive governance voting topics before sign up even open. However, there has been no voting topics. And finally, they stated that the governance rewards would start going out on January 1st throughout January 5th. And at the time of making this post on January 4th, there was not a single governance payout sent. Now, a couple weeks later, he followed up with this thread where he actually found out something new again, and he thinks that this might be a really good thing. First of all, he repeats the previous point with the TPS and finalization, but he adds that apart putting those on hold, there was a hard shift made towards the state proofs, which was quite unexpected at the time. And for those who don't know, state proofs are an innovative and key function towards interoperability and mainly, this is important, protection from quantum computing. Also, there was a second bit of oddness coming in the governance, because rewards from G1 were postponed and the start of G2 was delayed, and the original topics were replaced with a new one about X governance, which we've checked out a couple of moments ago. And he says that this shows some last minute shifts in direction from the Algorand Foundation, and we should also note that the community is no longer voting focusing on funding allocations, which is also very important to mention. Now the third oddness comes with the discovery that today that the Sean Lee is no longer the CEO of Algorand Foundation, which still has not been officially announced. So some pretty big changes has been happening with Algorand Inc. and also the Algorand Foundation, and now he says that he has some heavy speculations about Algorand, so we should strap on our tinfoil hats and hear him out. He thinks that Algorand has been tapped to lead the development of the United States CBDC, and he's laying those following 5 points. First of them, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston has been tapped to lead research of the US CBDC. Second, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston has partnered with MIT FinTech to help with the research. And if you know Silvio Micali well, he's a member of the MIT FinTech program. Now, is this a coincidence? You know, it might not be. Also, the US has fast-tracked its research past few months, coinciding with the oddness started with the Algorand teams. And also the US has stated that the quantum resilience is a priority for its CBDC, which corresponds to the state proofs from above. So this gentleman now goes on and says that he thinks that they have put all of their other priorities on hold because they have hard pivoted to focus on building up the infrastructure for the US CBDC. This would be a good reason why they scrapped the governance vote about funding allocation, because they need complete control and discretion over the funding right now. And also a possible reason why they did get rid of Sean Lee is because he is a Singaporean citizen and the US doesn't want a foreign national being at the head of one of the bodies overseeing its CBDC development, which is reasonable. Also, it would be very interesting, pay attention, if the new CEO is a US citizen, and also he wouldn't be surprised to see Foundation HQ move from Singapore to the US. And he explains more that one of the reasons he was so interested in Algorand is because the teams are prim, proper and punctual and have always communicated well with the community. However, the recent developments seem very sudden and the communication has seemed slow as of late. So just to remember, this is quite heavy speculation here. You can look to this thread which is linked in the description below. Check this gentleman over here. What do you think about him? And also, what do you think about this possibility that Algorand is developing the US CBDC? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And now I have a couple more points about the CBDC here, which is actually from official news from the Algorand Foundation, where the UCT Algorand FinTech Innovation Hub launched CBDC Dashboard in the University of Cape Town. So that's pretty interesting that we've got this information pretty much around the time of this gentleman post here. Obviously, if this would be true, then the implications for Algorand are pretty huge. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for any new information about this in the near future. Also, if you want to get some new information, Algorand will be at the ETH Denver, which will take place from February 11th to February 20th. And they also included this schedule over here, so if you are interested, check the link in the video description. Now I think that there has been enough new information. We are probably overloaded right now with all the possibilities with Algo in the future. So I think that's enough from the fundamentals for today, and we will jump quickly to the price charts over here to just give you the most recent update about the technicals. So first of all, we are checking Algorand to US dollar here, where since the last video we can see that we are pretty much holding some kind of uptrending support parallel to this uptrending channel over here, which is a good news from this standpoint, because after this huge drop we can see that the price has stabilized a little bit. However, an interesting question here is, where did this support come from? And if we zoom out a lot, we can see that it has been pretty much going since the March 2020 after those sell-offs, and also towards the end of 2020 here with this brief breakdown just before re-entering again this huge price channel and rallying all the way towards the upper resistance. So will we see a similar scenario here with some slow consolidation over here for the next couple of weeks and then re-entering the channel? It is very much possible. And if we also take a look to Algorand to Bitcoin ratio, we can see that we are again pretty much in the middle of this horizontal price channel, so not that much new developments over here. We are not in a close proximity to any of those trend lines, and we can say pretty much the same for the Algorand to Ethereum ratio. However, now here we are much closer to this upper resistance, so there is a bit more selling pressure in comparison to Ethereum. But from those two ratios, we don't see any major new information to pay attention to. So just all in all, we can say that we've established pretty well this level of support now, and we'll just have to wait and see where the price will go next. And I also like to add that for the past couple of years or so, pretty much since the February 2021, we've been in and around this zone of consolidation, we can say, which corresponds to the previous all-time highs since the inception in 2019. So naturally it is a bit more difficult for the price to overcome this zone, because near the previous all-time highs there is usually a very strong zone of resistance. And I would actually say that the price now, which is pretty much the same as it was in February 2021 here, so some can say that Algorand didn't do anything for the past year or so. So from this standpoint, buying Algorand now for the same price, much more interesting and intriguing from this technical standpoint, because previously here we were very close to this resistance. So obviously there was a high probability that we will bounce back off and there will be a lot of selling pressure. However, now we can see that we are close to some kind of support down over here, which supports the price with more buying pressure from the investors. So it's objectively a better place to buy here, close to some kind of support, than it is here close to some kind of resistance. And that's it from today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Definitely leave your opinions down in the comment section down below. And with this, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.